Hello, everyone. So I just wanted to make a little video today because I just noticed this article in regards to Warcry. So I'm really into Warcry myself. I think honestly like I know where there's going to be a lot of opinions on it, but I do feel it's definitely one of the better skirmish games GW has done in recent years. It's really fast paced, really easy to learn, amazing models, which on top of that, I think it was a great idea also allowing the models in Warcry to branch off into Age of Sigmar proper. Right? That's a really good idea that I'm glad they really embraced. So just wanted to go over this article a little bit. So we're getting a new edition of Warcry, which is pretty good. Relatively speaking, the last Warcry didn't come out that long ago, but I'm glad they're not just letting it be like like some of these games where they basically just stay stagnant for literal decades. Like I think this is a good idea. Well, one of the great things I actually liked about this is that they are putting reactions into the game now. So this is reactions, like as we all know, as a lot of people already know, they're basically things that your opponent can do during their opponent's current turn. I'm sorry, let me just rephrase that. Basically, if it's not your turn, it's stuff you can do in your opponent's turn. So it keeps you from just basically having to, just sit there and get smacked in the face a lot. This really is something that I'm noticing that besides 40k, this is something that they're really starting to bring into their games more because they've made it pretty much clear they don't want to do the alternating activations thing that some people are suggesting, but instead they're doing kind of like a middle ground where it's still the turns are kind of I go, you go throughout all their game systems, but they're adding certain things that your opponent can do to help balance that out a bit. The only one currently that I feel that's not really doing that is 40k. And I know there's some things like there's certain army abilities that let you like do stuff when your opponent does something, but those are not consistent among armies. Those are mostly just like army abilities, like specific ones. So, but I think it's a really good step forward. And one thing too, like this, like for example, they gave this one right here counter. So you basically every time your opponent misses, you do damage to your opponent. And I think this is a good idea because as they pointed out in the article, a lot of like defensive minded warbands in Warcry have definitely kind of we're taking hits in the last version of the rule set where because the thing with Warcry is that they have this crit damage. So what often would happen is that you had like really tough warbands, let's say like the Iron Golems. So they have really good defensive stats, but their offense is a little bit weak comparatively, and they're expensive. So the problem was like they would go up against other war bands, but if they got too many crit hits, they rolled too many sixes. They're good. It's basically gonna chew through all that defense regardless. So it often found is they were actually going down faster than your opponents because again they're really expensive. So this one was specifically created to counter that. So for example, your Iron Golems, they can take a bunch of hits and every miss is still doing damage plus the damage they're going to do when it's their turn. So I think this is a really good idea. Like, because the game was really like, ironically, like the really tanky guys were going down too quickly. So yeah, they just go over. Oh, geez, I love this terrain. Really nice. And honestly, another thing I really like, I didn't really mention was that I actually kind of glad we're actually getting out of the Varanspire. Well, not the Varanspire, but the 8 points. Like the whole first season of like Warcry was all about fighting in the 8 points. But now that we're in Gur, it kind of just shows that Warcry is not just about fighting in near the Varanspire in the 8 points. It's just basically like just small scale skirmish warfare. So now we're in this forest. Like, so this is really kind of giving me some ideas for the future. Like where we go next time. Like maybe like the next edition, I'm thinking like, oh, I don't know, maybe like floating islands, maybe, or maybe we'll be in tunnels, or I don't know. It just really shows the sky's the limit with what the actual setting of Warcry could be. And just going over the different campaigns, I think this is a good idea. Like, but that, campaigns are always a big part of these kind of skirmishes, but they're also saying that it's optional too. So you're not like, like forced to do it. Like, oh geez, I just want to, I love these guys too. The Splintered Fang, these guys are hands down my favorite. I just kind of like the whole, like, the greenish, like gladiator aesthetic, and also giving us the first example of like a chaos elf, that like right here. Oh, and these guys are pretty good too, but my only thing with them is, especially currently now rules wise, they kind of overlap quite a bit with the Corvus Cabal, except they're just better. So I'm hoping with the update they'll give the Corvus Cabal a little bit something different, and also touching back on to when I was saying that some armies in Warcry were hurting, they're going to also saying they're going to be rebalancing a lot of the armies come the new edition, which I think is a great idea, because as I said, for example, like the Iron Golems, some of the Stormcast warbands, they've really been struggling. I guess struggling is not the right word, but they're not nearly as competitive as they should be. Like, like they're just, because like I said, like the really tanky ones, they just comparatively, they just often comparatively do less damage, and they're fewer in number. But then again, like I said, all your opponent has to do is get just enough crits, and they go down just as fast, which eats away at their durability. So, I'm really glad they're going to be. And I don't know what they're going to be doing. I doubt they're going to be affecting their durability, but my more than likely is there's going to be other like counter counter abilities that they're adding that'll help them with their durability, and maybe make them a little more damage on the attack. Because for example, I honestly think, like, for example, especially the Stormcast ones, comparatively, I kind of feel their attack output is really not what it should be. Like, these guys should really be like hitting things as hard as you can. Like, you shouldn't be having untamed beasts doing more damage on average in some of these Stormcast warbands. That just doesn't seem right. And they're going to be releasing these prototypes with a Warcry compendium, so that's a really good idea. Just put it all together. It's just better. Beyond that, I think this is looking good. So hopefully we get more out of this in terms of more spoilers as we get close to release. And really looking forward to the new Warcry. Yeah, so pretty much it. Well, thanks for listening. Have a good day.